Hey, how's it going? Of
Hey man, good. How are you? Of
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
course. Thanks for making the time to do the Johnny Rogers show.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
I met Nicole
Yeah.
through I had Jordan Rayner on when she was
Oh,
doing
dope.
voice.
Jordan's
Yeah.
awesome.
So I've gotten to all of a sudden I've been immersed into the country
Hell
music
yeah,
scene.
man. Come on. There we go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where are
I've
you
had
based out of?
I'm based out of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Beautiful. Yeah, we just
So
played up in we did Port Stanley for 2 nights and we did Uxbridge, Ontario for a night.
oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, you'll have to
Cold,
come.
beautiful.
It's cold. It's very
Yeah.
cold. I
Oh yeah.
say it's a like character building for us because
That's right. Yeah,
we
it's I'd love that actually. Character building. That's great.
yeah, you got to learn how to help your neighbor when it's negative
Exactly.
30.
Exactly. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. Creates for kinder people, I think, because
yeah.
you're
I
too
will say
cold to be rude.
the nicest people I've ever met. Oh my God, it was awesome. I had such a great time.
Yeah. Just don't tell them you're American right now.
Exactly correct. Yeah, right now is not the best time to be up there, but
Oh, me? I'm from Greeley, Ontario.
exactly right. Exactly. Yep.
Just name some random place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, this is a show, man. Like it feels like a phone call. We're
Yeah, I
literally
love it.
just like on it, and then when we hang up, and then
Perfect.
that's the whole show.
Perfect.
Your word for the episode was grateful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what made you think of that word? Why did that come to your to mind for you?
Yeah. I mean, man, it is this industry. It's crazy, as you know. It's a lot of ups and downs and left and right and twist and turn, and you're just kind of everywhere. And throughout the entire mess of the music industry, is what I'll call it very affectionately. You got to ground yourself in something. And for me, I'm just very grateful to be here. It's such a cool opportunity to get to make music and get to go meet people all over the world. And I'm just every day I wake up and I'm excited and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity to get to do what I get to do for a job. So,
Yeah, totally. Now, what was the journey like from starting out in this scene to like where you are now? Because I know
yeah,
I do stand-up comedy, and so I'm
yeah,
well aware of like for a comedian, you write your first act
yeah,
and then you take it to the stage, and it's usually like an open mic in a bar where no one really cares, and you're
yeah,
talking to other comedians
absolutely. Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
And then maybe you build a bit of an act, you get some televised stuff, and
sure.
you start, taking it on the road.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what's that been like for you?
It's crazy, dude. I mean, we started off. I remember I played my first like professional show. When I say professional, I got paid $50 to play for 4 hours.
It's great.
I was probably 12 or 13 years old at the time, and like the
Oh,
PA
no
system
way.
was bigger than me. Yeah, so it's been a wild journey, and I've always gotten to do it with my dad, which is really cool. And he was the one that kind of pushed me into this head first, which is it's incredible and it's fun. But the journey. I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. It's like if 12-year-old you had ever thought that this would be your full-time job, it's like God, that's insane. But it's a lot of what you're saying of like you say yes to everything for a very long time. And
Hmm.
then right when you're like, oh, I think I can finally start to slow down, you start to say yes to everything again.
Yeah, yeah.
And it started off with I played every dive bar, every swim club, every biker bar, every backyard that I could possibly find forever. And the goal was, in theory, just get as much on the books as humanly possible and learn, 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 learn. And that works for a while until you start to burn out. And then I did that, honest to God, throughout a lot of high school and most of college. I was playing
Wow.
probably 150 dates a year, kind of all over the country and touring and doing the thing. And then I remember I got a call from Big and Rich, big country act, obviously, and said, "Hey, Mark, we're looking for somebody to come play a show with us in Baltimore, my hometown." I said, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." And I got to do it, and it was amazing because it was kind of my first taste of like, wow, this could be a real job. This could be a real thing
Yeah.
that I get to do for a living. And I, honest to God, never looked back from there. I started kind of visiting Nashville and taking trips and learning, and then signed my first little songwriting deal when I was in college. I had a song on the radio with a great artist named Amy Stewart. She had a big song, "Knock on Wood," back in the '70s, and I had her comeback single a couple years ago, which was incredible, and it got me down to Nashville, and it got me
Oh,
learning
that's
even more.
awesome.
Yeah, it was cool, and it was for me. it got me in some rooms I probably shouldn't have been in yet at the stage of my
Mm.
career that I was in. And, it just got me to a point of, this is professional music because it's different when you go from playing the bar scene, just kind of jumping around doing whatever to, okay, now you're opening for people. Now you're playing giant stages. Now you're writing songs with
Mhm.
hit artists and hit writers every day. It's a different mindset. And there's nothing wrong with getting up there and playing, Rockin' in the Free World and whatever Jimmy Eat World song you want to play. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I did it.
yeah,
I still do it every once in a while. It's fun.
yeah.
But getting to do it for a job is totally different, right? This is a business at the end of the day. So learning the business is key. It's a very hard business. It's a very weird business, as you know. And,
Yeah.
the entertainment business, it'll chew you out and spit you up pretty quickly. I mean, it's a ruthless thing, but it's fun at the same time. So,
What's my favorite saying ever? It takes 10 years to become an overnight success.
and you can talk to, there's a guy I know in town named Mitchell Tenpenny, and he's had like three, four, five number ones at this point. The guy's touring with Luke Combs. He's all over the place and was nominated for New Artist of the Year at the CMAs this past year.
Hilarious.
And it's like, dude, he's like 37 years old. He's been doing it
Yeah,
forever.
yeah.
He's had
New
hits on the
artists.
radio since I was 18 years old. Like,
Yeah.
New Artist of the Year, come on now. But it is so true. It's 10 years for an overnight success. And then everybody, oh, I knew the whole time. And
Yeah, yeah.
everybody's taking credit. And, it's crazy. I mean, I sat with somebody today who works with, some pretty big acts as well as a booking agent. And it's the same thing of like, man, we had to work so hard and so long to even get a song on the radio to tour with. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So it is a wild business for sure. I'll tell you that much.
Help me bridge the gap a little bit here too,
Yeah.
because I know there's maybe aspiring artists that listen to this
Yeah.
podcast
Yeah.
too, whether they're in music or they're in comedy. For
Yeah.
comedy, I can speak to comedy. So when to get like an opening spot for
Yeah.
somebody, it usually happens because of proximity or someone close to them saw you do well and referred you. And then that's when the phone rings because they tell you, don't sit around and wait for the phone to ring because
Yeah.
you're going to be waiting forever. That's why you're supposed to be out doing your craft,
Yeah.
practicing it, and trying to meet people. Was that what it was like for you, where you were just meeting other artists when you're out doing these
Yeah.
shows? And then, that's how these sort of led to these,
Yeah.
obviously, talent and skill and
Sure.
reliability have to back up yourself. But was that what it was like for you?
It's super interesting because there are two schools of thought there, right? It's like you put yourself out there, but then at the same time, you have to do that, but then you also don't want to be the guy that's totally overreaching and totally trying to do
Totally.
whatever. So it's a balance, right? So, I mean, the big thing I will say is that it will happen when it's supposed to happen, right?
Mm.
For me, it was the Big and Rich phone call. I was not ready for that. And there's a reason that,
But you say yes though, because you're like,
you
I'll
say
I'll
yes
figure
to
it out.
everything. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. And,
yeah.
and you figure it out on the fly. But it's like,
Totally.
I will tell you, I've probably played, it's got to be north of 3 to 4 thousand shows at this point. Has to be.
Nuts.
And I can confidently say, until the last probably 1,000 shows, I wasn't ready for the big time yet. And I'm still not.
Wow.
There are days I wake up and I'm like, I don't deserve X. I'm not ready for X. But it's putting in your 10,000 hours, in some case 20, 30,000 hours until you finally hit the point where it's like, you know what, I can do this. I can bat with the big guys because the thing you don't want to happen is you get the opportunity and then you absolutely stink up the joint, right? I mean,
Right.
I love comedy. We've all been to comedy open mic nights where the guy
Just
that gets
not
up there
going
first,
well.
you're just like, oh my God, please stop the train wreck. Please, someone pull him off stage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's what you don't want, especially in music, right? Because these opening
Bombing in
spots,
music's got to be tough.
well, right? And like the opening spots I'm getting right now are something like, I'll tell you, well, that's a bad example because I opened for them for a while, but like the average opening spot is going to be 30 to 40 minutes ish, right? So that's a long,
Pretty
if you stink,
substantial. Like you got to have a
that's my point.
catalog of songs,
If
man.
you stink, 30 to 40 minutes is an eternity. If
Oh
you're
my
good at your
God.
job, it's goes by
Sure.
quickly.
Cool. Yeah.
So it is, but whatever higher power you believe in, it's like whoever that thing is, whatever, It's like it will happen when it's supposed to happen. And I'm a
Hmm.
firm believer in that. And everything in my career in life has happened for a reason, the way it's happened rather. And I'm a big believer in you got to be patient, but I also know in my heart of hearts, I want it to happen now. I want it to happen now. I want the big
Hmm.
record deal. I want the big number one. I want this, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's timing for everything. And I have learned, and this was the toughest lesson for me to learn back in the day, but it was, I wasn't ready for a lot of the stuff that I'm getting now, even a year ago, right? It's like you start to work with these people, you start to really kind of pull back the curtain and figure it out because everyone here is so good. It doesn't matter what tour is going out right now. It's the openers are great, the headliners are great. You may not, love their music, but
Sure.
they are objectively good at their jobs if they're selling tickets, right? That is the goal. So, you are writing up against the best every day. You are singing up against the best every day. You are touring against the best every day. You are doing the business up against the best every day. So it will make or break you, which is kind of weird, but it all happens for a reason when it's supposed to. But I
Hmm.
would say what you said before to kind of bring it all the way back, proximity is the biggest thing, especially in music. I don't know what the scene is up in Canada, but I know in America, Nashville is where country music happens.
Yeah.
It's really hard to be present and win when you're not in the place. And that's 85% of Nashville is being present to win.
Yeah.
85% of it. If you say yes, you're probably in the right proximity to do so because, people are seeing you, they're seeing you out on the town, they're hearing you about you, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're not here, that's really hard to do. So
Totally. Yeah. It's amazing how still in today's digital age, there's nothing stronger than word of mouth.
still, I don't
Just
care. Yep.
still, that'll carry you all the way through
Absolutely.
reputation wise.
I mean, man, it's funny we're doing this today. I've been doing news interviews all day because I had a pretty viral video
Oh, no way.
yesterday
Oh,
for,
the baggage.
yes, the
Yeah, I
baggage thing.
watched that. I wanted to
I'm
talk to you
known
about
as
that too.
I'm known as
The
the
bag
baggage guy right now. But
guy. Isn't that the worst? These
dude,
motherfuckers.
it's been hysterical, but it's like,
Yeah.
you sit there and you look at it, and I'm sitting there going, so all of the music stuff I've ever posted, all of this, and the reason that the news is
Nothing.
calling me right now is because of my stance on baggage fees in America. Like, are you kidding me? But
Yeah, yeah. And then you
it's
just start
word of
looking up
mouth.
like, okay, what's the news narratives today and
Correct,
where can
correct,
I fit in?
absolutely. But I'm telling
Maybe I
you,
should make a
like,
video about tariffs.
absolutely. But man, I'll tell you, there's nothing
Yeah,
that beats the word of mouth, and even social media. It's like, man, it is a crapshoot. I mean,
total.
you can't plan on anything on social
Mm-mm.
media. Anything. I don't care what it is. There's no plan. Everyone that tells you that has a plan is wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't care what anyone says. You can post a lot and increase your chances, but I wasn't. The thing is, when I went viral, I wasn't trying to go viral.
Oh,
I
that's
was
always how it happens.
correct.
I used to do like social media strategy for like
Absolutely.
companies,
Yeah.
and they would say, "Can you make us a viral clip?" And I said, "I can't make you a viral
Yeah.
clip.
Yeah.
We what we can do is make good content,
Yep.
and maybe that will do well."
Absolutely. And
Like
there's
you
still no
can't
promise
plan
to
on these
that.
things. No, yeah, still.
And that's what's it messes with your mind all the time because the
Totally.
minute I just put the camera up and said my feelings, now they were very strong feelings, and I'm sure it helped
But
that.
you came with the receipts though. Like you had like, here's how much this cost, here's
Yeah,
how much this like
absolutely.
being 100% transparent. And I think we're in that new age of social media. TikTok has been a really big help with that.
Yep.
But it used to be that like everything was highly produced and very edited. So companies that had that power to do that
Yep.
were rising above all these other creators.
Absolutely.
Now I see someone flip their selfie camera on, make a quick video, and it's got like 2.7 million likes or something on it. And you're like,
Absolutely.
what?
And people just they don't understand that enough, right? It's like
Yeah,
this is gonna sound weird, but there's no need to go spend a bazillion dollars on an Instagram budget and to go do this. There are ways to succeed, like, you know, post a clear picture. Don't post something that's blurry. But it's like, and
sure.
again,
Yeah.
I'm not sitting over here as a social media mogul. I had one viral video. It wasn't even that crazy. But, it's still to a point where I learned a lot, even in the last 24 hours, because a video that I made from my bedroom in this exact chair sitting here
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
a stupid background complaining about a policy I don't like
Hmm.
is now I'm on the news and I'm doing this and I'm doing this, an interview. I'm like, it's wild how it all happens. It's
And you
wild.
might actually effectuate change. That's what's the craziest thing is like
I
if
hope
this
so.
goes big enough,
Hmm.
that company might issue an apology or make an amendment to it. And that's what's really cool about the internet. Like the
Yeah.
first time that and I'm sure it happened before this, but the
Yeah.
first time I really saw the internet come together to change something was, do you remember when they released Sonic the Hedgehog live
Yes.
action? And
Yeah.
everybody was like, what the hell is this
Yes.
monstrosity?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they literally had to go back to the
Wow.
animating studio
Yeah.
and reanimate the entire movie to just please the
Absolutely.
audience. So it's like people actually have power
There's power in
through
the
through
people.
online. Yeah.
So we'll see. I hope it affects some change, but it's hilarious, man. It's
Yeah.
like, I post videos every day of me doing my job. And then the
Yeah.
minute I sit there and be real with people about what's going on, that's the thing that does it. So you
Well,
never
maybe
know.
there's a market for that. Like there's a market for not just baggage claim stuff, but transparency in music.
Absolutely.
Because someone like myself who's an outsider, like when you say these things, like, I have a full band, that's four people, maybe more, at least four people, plus myself, plus bags for speakers if we have to bring a speaker. Like these are things that the average concert goer
Oh,
doesn't think about. And we need
absolutely.
to think about more because, like, the more that we can support local artists,
Yeah.
the better like culture becomes. Like you're supporting like a culture of
Yeah.
happiness and joy. Like what's better
Yeah.
than music? It's such
Exactly.
a raw form of expression. Like
Exactly.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, something there, maybe. Behind the
Yeah,
music
absolutely.
with Mark
Absolutely.
Taylor.
Behind the music. I love it. I love it. I love it.
There you go. Keep going till you get sued and then go
That's
double.
right. That's right. There we go.
Calling out venues and everything.
That's right.
One thing you kind of touched on it a little bit, and I just kept it in the back of my head was imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
There's this theory that like however many years you've been doing something in art, comedy, music, whatever, you are that age. So if you've been doing it for 10 years, you're a 10-year-old in
Yeah.
terms of your
Yeah.
ability and whatnot, right? Someone that's been doing it for like 50 years, oh my God, they like have a crazy amount of experience doing
Absolutely.
that thing. You can believe that. But then there's that weird period where you're gaining a bit of success, or maybe you're like not really there just yet, but you've been doing
Yeah.
it. You think that you're good, but have you had that? Have you faced that? And have
Oh,
you
yeah.
how
Yeah.
how have you navigated that feeling of like,
Yeah.
am I actually like a professional musician? Like this is
Yeah.
insane. Like who me? Like what the fuck?
Most mornings. So, I
Okay.
mean,
Every time I look in the mirror.
yeah, pretty much, man. I mean, look, I mean, it's a crazy, crazy thing, my
Yeah.
job, right? It's like I get to go, and I think I'm the luckiest person in the world. And that's why I'm so grateful for it is like, I wake up every morning. I get to go write songs with my heroes. And then on the weekends, I get to go play music with the people I grew up listening to and my favorite artists. And it's like, how many people would kill for that every day? A lot of my friends from high school, college, whatever, are working their dead end corporate jobs that they cannot stand, that they just want to leave, and they try to live vicariously through something else. Whereas my belief on the whole system is like, man, if I got to spend 40 hours a week doing something, I'd like it to be enjoyable, preferably.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to sit at a desk and crunch numbers all day, and there's people that love doing that, and that's their thing, and that's great. For me, I'm a happy-go-lucky dude. I just want to go have a good time. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot, honestly. I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing here? Why do I deserve this in a way?
Mm,
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
it still never gets normal when you walk out on stage and there's a sold out crowd and you're opening for somebody or you're headlining or doing whatever. Like we're playing with Lainey Wilson later this year on some festival bill, and it's
Crazy.
like that's never gonna be a normal thing. At least I
Yeah,
hope.
yeah. It shouldn't
Because
be. I
it's
think you'd be like a psychopath if you're like,
yeah,
this is fine. This is totally
yeah,
normal.
and that's what you know. What it's like. You meet these people, you work with these people, and they're just people too, which is the
Mhm.
weirdest thing at the end of the day. But I just I don't know. I love what I do so much, and it is so cool to me every day that I get to wake up and do what I want for a living. So it's like, yeah, there's every time I get out on a big stage with somebody, it's like, man, this doesn't feel real. Like, what am I doing? But and part of that never goes away. Part of it becomes a little bit more normal. I mean, I was just out on the road with Jackson Dean and Locash, and we had a great time. Played a couple shows with those guys, and it's not that it was more normal, but we just had great conversations because Jackson and I are from pretty much the same hometown,
Okay.
and and Chris from Locash is also from our same hometown. So it was like everybody kind of knew. It was different shows, different whatever, but everybody kind of had a great experience to talk about.
Mm,
And it was like, just man, let's talk about the Ravens. We're all from Baltimore. Like,
yeah.
how the Ravens doing? What do you think we should do next year? Whatever. It's like you start to make those relationships, and then it becomes normal. But
Yeah.
it's still a weird thing. I can't describe it. It's just a weird thing. It's great.
Do you know Stavros Halkias, the
I do
comedian?
not. So it's hilarious.
Stabby
My
baby.
I love Stavi. My my guitar player, they're all Greek. All these Greek people are related to each other. So he's like, I
Hilarious.
have to go back and look, but they like
Yeah,
went
they're
to
all
the
from the same like
same church. Yeah,
community.
exactly. But
Yeah.
they like either went to the same church or somebody's related to somebody. But no, my guitar player and him, like they know each other. So
Oh, cool. Okay.
it's cool. But no, Stavi is my favorite
Because he
comedian.
does that like Baltimore
Yeah.
fan, like
Oh hon, go Flacco. Like
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
sad part is it's real. All of that stuff. Like
Uh,
Stavi's not BSing
yeah.
anybody when he's doing that stuff because it's the trashiest accent
Yeah.
on the planet. Oh my God. And he does such a good version of it. But
Like just an exaggerated version
the
of that.
oh,
Yeah,
the O's are
yeah.
down the ocean, hon. The O. Let's go
Yeah.
O's. Like that's a very common thing that
Yeah.
you will hear at all times at every bar
That's so
near
funny.
Baltimore. But yeah, stuff is great.
Were you
I
born
wish
and
I
raised in Baltimore then?
so actually born in Virginia,
Oh,
but
okay.
raised lived most of my life in Maryland. It's a little town called Lutherville, Maryland. It's about 10 minutes north of kind of the hood area of Baltimore. But we
Hmm.
moved there when I was like 3.5, 4 years old and stayed. So it was
Okay.
phenomenal. It was a lot of fun to grow up there, and it was a great place.
Have you felt that like has played any influence or role into like music for you?
Yeah, I mean, on a personal level, I definitely check, my head twice at night before I go to bed to make sure no one's following me because I'm
Sure,
from the
yeah,
area. But yeah, I mean, definitely, there's always kind of little callbacks and stuff. I mean, for me, it was sorry, it was not
yeah.
so
Of course.
much a Baltimore thing as it was kind of a general growing up thing. But like, I grew up around a lot of classic rock music. My dad
Hmm.
played in bands, and like that was kind of a big thing in Baltimore. Was that kind of like geezer band stuff. Like all the local bands that were play were these kind of like mid 50s guys that would get up and just go play the Eagles and REO
Right.
Speedwagon and Kiss. So like that's the stuff I grew up on. So that was kind of really influential for me. And honest to God, it wasn't a ton of country music until I hit a certain point. But my musical education really started off with the Eagles and Billy Joel and Queen, and like that was
Classics. Yeah,
yeah, that was
yeah.
the stuff that then it turned to Alan Jackson and Garth and George and that kind of stuff. But it really started. My grandfather owned a jukebox leasing company, and
Oh,
I
no
would go
way.
downstairs in the basement when I was a kid and just start spinning old
That's so
45.
cool.
It was awesome, and like that's
There's a
where I kind of
bygone company, eh? Jukebox leasing. Like how
Jukebox
many?
Lyrics, yeah, he started it when he
Awesome.
was like 13 years old, and it was
Wow.
incredible. But we would always have jukeboxes in my parents' basement just because he would drop them off, and we'd rig them so you didn't have to like put the quarter in every
Oh,
time.
cool.
So you could just hit the button, and I knew what the numbers were, and I'd sit down there at night with my guitar and just start playing Eagle songs and start playing
Wow.
whoever was on the jukebox. And honestly, the one jukebox we had there forever is still since it's like 19. I want to say 82 was the last time the records were updated in it. So it's like a time capsule, man. It's
No
the coolest
doubt.
thing in the world. And,
Have you
it's
heard Hotel California, the live version on Hellfreeze?
oh, yeah.
The solo at the beginning? Oh my God.
Well, and I'll tell you, that is
It's
so
the
it's a guy named Don
crazy.
Felder from the Eagles.
Yeah.
And Don's become a little bit of a friend over the last couple of years
Oh,
through some
cool.
really cool charity work we've gotten to do together, and just getting to hear the stories of. We've hung out a couple times, and just getting to hear the stories of the old Eagles stuff. And I mean, gosh, it's like I could sit there for years and talk to him about
Oh
that
my God,
stuff.
it'd be
But
surreal.
he is so cool, and you get to hear all the little kind of insider baseball stuff with the music industry, and it is so cool. But yeah, so Don played all that part. Don rewrote that because Don wrote that song. Don
You
Felder.
could you hear the audience like they're like okay, okay cool like they're digging it, they're like into
Yeah,
it, and then he starts playing the Hotel California riff
yeah.
into it, and then they just lose their mind. Like
Felder, yeah.
it's the greatest listen
It's
ever
crazy,
because of
man.
that. Like I that's why I love like live music albums. I think there
Oh
should be
yeah,
more of them. Like
yeah, oh yeah.
because it's a totally different like it's like watching like they've done a couple comedy specials on Netflix that are like
Hmm.
live, and it's a totally different feel. Like
Totally different
there's
thing.
there's mistakes, there's like stuff that happens from the
Yeah,
audience. Like I just like that so much more than something that's
yeah,
so overly produced. I think you can
yeah.
overproduce something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and it's so interesting getting to see. I'll tell you, two shows that I saw that absolutely knocked me out my ass, and I loved it. Was Theo Von and Stavi did a private show in Nashville
Oh,
that
cool.
I got to go to. That
I
for like
love
two,
Theo Von.
so funny, but for it was 200 people in this tiny little room in Nashville.
Yeah.
It was Theo Von and Stavi. We couldn't take our phones out. It was unbelievably funny, and there was no script. They just because Theo lives in
Yeah.
Nashville, so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this, Stavi. Come on over, whatever." And oh my God, it was hysterical. I mean, we were crying at the end of it, and there was no script, no nothing. They're literally just sitting on bar stools talking.
They're just
Uh,
naturally that
yeah.
good.
And then
Yeah,
the
yeah.
other one that really killed me was John Mulaney. I'm a huge John Mulaney fan, and we went to a taping of his. I cannot remember where it was for the life of me, but oh my God, it was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Still
So good.
his trumpet about like Trump basically being like a horse in a
Yeah,
hospital.
horse in the hospital. Oh God, it's
There's
so
a horse in the
exactly.
hospital.
It's and his delivery is the best I've ever
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
ever.
yeah. I
But
also love like Theo's podcast is
oh
so
yeah,
good.
oh
Like I
my
just
God,
listened to him talking to I think it was Danny McBride.
yeah,
Amazing. But when he
so good.
interviewed Trump too, and he was talking about like doing
Yeah,
coke, and he's like,
yeah.
I'm out on the front porch like a damn owl. It's so funny, just tweaking.
It's so funny. Oh my God, and he
He's like
is.
one of a kind, but
Oh my
like he's one
God,
of a kind, but like you're like, I feel like I've seen this archetype. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? Like it's a
absolutely.
strange thing.
Well, and you see it in person, and like I saw the podcast obviously before I went to the show, and sitting at the show, and I'm sitting there with actually my tour manager and I were sitting there, and I'm like, he can't be like that. All like that's not a that's a bit, right?
Can you imagine he has
Then
a
you,
British accent or something?
yeah, well, and then he starts talking, and I'm like, oh my God, it's not a bit. He's
Yeah.
crazy. He's
Yeah, yeah,
hilariously crazy.
yeah, yeah.
But God, he's amazing. I love him.
That's the best part about being a comedian too, is just like the range of characters
Oh
that you
yeah.
meet. Like doing
Oh yes.
comedy is it's been like I've been doing comedy since I was like 19.
Yeah.
So like the amount of just wild people that I've met
Oh
in
yeah.
Canada alone is it's worth the price of admission.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
There's one question I really wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Your music's been described as having sort of like a 90s country feel to it.
Yeah.
What drew you to like that era, and how do you put, sort of your own spin
Sure.
on country music to add that? Because there's like like comedy same way. We mimic people that we like kind of look up to in the
Yeah.
early stages to find your voice, right? But what is it about the 90s era of country music, and like how do you kind of spin it your own way?
Yeah. Totally. I mean, that's for me what I grew up on, right? It's like that. I the first country record I ever had, I stole my grandmother's Alan Jackson CD from her car and I didn't give it back. So for me, it was like I just want the best songs always. And for me, the best songs were that kind of late 90s, early 2000s era country music. And like you listen to, there's nothing wrong with stuff on the radio nowadays, but it's like you hear a George Strait song, or an Alan Jackson song or a Garth song. It's like I still, every time one of my buddies wrote a song called So You Don't Have to Love Me Anymore for Alan, every time I hear that song, it just evokes this certain emotion that I've never been able to, like, you don't achieve it with some of these songs nowadays. Like there's nothing wrong with some of these songs nowadays, but it's like when you hear a song like Amazed by Lone Star, it takes me to a certain place in time. And that's what I'm trying to give my listeners, which is why I'm so particular with the songs I record and the songs I'm writing, because I want people to, have that same experience that I did when I heard, even a song like Hotel California, right? It's like that song evokes a certain emotion. I can tell you right now, when I was opening for Low Cash a couple weeks ago, I drove through the desert. I got a souped up convertible BMW and I
Sick.
drove through the desert at 100 miles an hour blasting the Eagles.
That's awesome.
And it was the most therapeutic thing I
Could
have
be like
ever
the
done.
intro to your next music video is that scene right there.
It was awesome. And like the duct was flying behind me.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was awesome. But like there's different music for different things, right? It's like
yeah. Yeah,
when I want to
totally.
go be in my feels and be emotional, it's like I'm gonna go turn on an old George Strait record, old Alan Jackson record. When I want to hear the Eagles, I'm thinking I want to drive as fast as I can to a song like Already Gone. And I just want to
Yeah.
floor this thing and go. So, I want to give people those musical moments and I want to treat them to what I was treated to when I heard these records for the first time.
Mhm. Do you go into a song with that sort of like you said, it happens by accident, but
Yeah.
do you have like an overall sort of thing, the feeling with your music that you're trying to achieve so that when someone hears that they
Yeah.
go, oh, that's a Mark Taylor song.
I just want to make people feel something at the end of the day.
Mm,
That's my goal.
something.
Whether
Yeah.
it's happy, sad, whatever. I don't want you to skip the song and say, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
That's my goal because it can be any emotion. I mean, my favorite songs are the ones that absolutely rip your guts out because they're so sad. Those are my favorite tunes to write and to sing. I also know that if I put out a 12 song album of songs that make you, want to scream and cry, it's
Yeah,
probably not
yeah.
going to sell very well. So
Maybe
I
with the
also
emo
love, yeah,
cowboys.
exactly. I also love driving fast and I love
Yeah.
songs that make me do that. You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I have a feeling I want to associate with every song, and the goal is to communicate that, whatever that feeling is.
Totally. I love that. Now you launched your own bourbon whiskey, Steel
Yeah,
String Signature. What made you
yeah,
want to dive into the spirits industry and like how much are you
yeah.
involved in that process?
Yeah, very involved. It was honest to God a happy accident,
Oh,
which is
cool.
kind of hysterical at the end of the day. But man, we were playing a show in Nashville. There's a big, like a series kind of for up and coming artists in Nashville called Whiskey Jam, and I was playing it a couple of years ago. And this dude ran out of the crowd and said, "Hey, I want to give you your own bourbon." And I was like, "You're full of shit. Okay,
Yeah.
talk to my publicist. Go away." He was like, "No, no, I'm serious." I said, "Okay, fine. Talk to my publicist. She'll call me."
Yeah.
So he goes and talks to my publicist, and she calls me the next morning and says, "Hey, this guy's actually not kidding." I
Oh.
said, "Okay, well, let's get a meeting on the books, see what happens." And we had our meeting, and they gave me the proposal, and I realized he wasn't kidding, and it was pretty cool. And all of a sudden, now we're with Total Wine across the country, which is awesome. And you see us in a lot of different mom and pop liquor stores, and we've been trying to get into Canada, but that's been a little bit tough recently. But it's been a really cool adventure, and for me, it's that goes back to that kind of I want to make people feel something. It's really cool when we're at a show to say, "Hey, I'm drinking this on stage right now, and you can go get it at the bar right now as well."
Mm.
And that's where a lot of our sales come from is, I'm playing it at a show and people are trying it, they're buying it, they're supporting whatever. But yeah, I mean, it's been a really cool thing to dive into. I'm very involved in the process, down to what the bottle looks like, to the design of the bottle, to the graphic art on the bottle, to the juice inside, to this is probably iteration like 10 or 12 or 13 of the actual bourbon. So there was a
Cool.
really strict tasting process that I wanted to go through, and
So you were
it's
right
been a
there,
really cool.
like
Right there, every
prepping it
step of the
up.
way.
That's
Yep,
awesome.
every step of the way. So it's been really incredible.
That's what I would want at that too. I wouldn't want to just like, yeah, slap my name on it and whatever,
Yeah,
and
man.
then
And
it's
I'll
trash. Like,
exactly. And I'll tell you what, there's so many artists that do that
yeah.
that just don't care. And they're like, I don't, man, does it generate revenue? I don't care. Throw my name on it, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I can tell you everything about this whiskey because I love it and I live it and I breathe it every day. So
Mm.
it's been
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, man.
I'll help you with the cough too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. Exactly
I
right.
love that. Now you've mentioned these people that you've gotten to share a stage
Yeah.
with. Is there anyone that's like a dream collaboration that you would love to, do a song with?
And man, Alan Jackson's not doing great right now, and I just health wise, I would love to sing with him one time while he's still got it. He's incredible. I'm trying to think who else. I'd love to do something with the Eagles. That's a dream. Garth or George, that's a dream as well. Yeah, I mean, those are kind of my musical Mount Rushmore there, if you will. But yeah, the Eagles would be really cool. That'd be my kind of pinnacle one there.
Yeah, yeah, an
Yeah,
Eagles collab would be incredible.
it'd be
Did
cool.
there? I have noticed a lot of artists doing like these. Elton John is a big one where
Yeah,
he's partnered with like Dua Lipa, who he did a
yes,
song with Britney Spears, where
yeah,
he's just like remixing an older song, but what it's doing is it's bringing it to a new audience. So I think the passing of the torch, we're gonna see that a lot coming up because a lot of these like
absolutely.
legendary artists are life is
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
And they're
yeah,
going, I want to leave behind a legacy, but I also want to bring up the next generation. And
absolutely.
hopefully we see an Eagles Mark
There
Taylor
we go. I love it.
collab.
From
Put
your
it out into
mouth
the
to God's
universe.
ears.
Yeah, there we
There we
go.
go. There we go.
There's one question that I always ask all my guests, and
Okay.
essentially the question is, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Sure.
But I want to put a bit of a spin on it. I want you to think of yourself at 15 years old.
Okay.
Like where you were at that time, what you were doing, all
Sure.
of that. Really immerse yourself in that memory. And the phone rings and it's you now on the other end, and you can give your younger self a piece of advice based on, the life
Yeah.
that you've lived. It's not going to impact your life whatsoever, but it might impact his. What do you say?
Say yes to everything. That's why I've done what I've done in my career so far is yes. Three little letters together, YES. The power of yes is so underestimated because people get so caught up in the little crap and, well, I can't do this because of this, and I can't do this, I can't do this, whatever. Yes, you can. You know what I mean? You may not know how to do it yet, but there's nothing wrong with the power of yes. And that's what, I mean, everything from writing rooms to writing relationships to musical relationships to recording to getting on tour with people to, you know, whatever it is in your life that you're doing, if the opportunity is there, just be prepared to say yes. That's what I would tell 15-year-old me.
Yeah, be prepared to say yes
Yeah.
is a great thing to for a lot of
Yeah.
upcoming artists to really think about because there's saying yes and there's, figuring it out as you go, but
Correct.
training like that yes is going to come tomorrow or the next day is always a good thing to
Absolutely.
my girlfriend loves watching RuPaul's Drag Race, and
Sure.
There's a great line from that show where one of the drag queens says, I stay ready so I don't have to get ready."
Exactly. But
And I was
seriously
like,
though,
I
that's
fucking
that's
love
the
that.
magic.
That's great.
That's the best stuff right there. You stay ready.
Yeah,
So yeah, there you go. I love it.
stay ready so I don't gotta get ready.
There you go.
I'm gonna show off your Instagram here for people watching on YouTube. It's Mark Taylor Country for everybody
Yeah.
listening. And then people can also go to marktaylorcountry.com for tour dates, music, news, and checking out your Steel String whiskey.
There we go.
Is there anything else that you want people to check out?
Yeah, Mark Taylor Country on everything. I'm on the Google, I'm on the Instagram, the Facebook, the TikTok, all that good stuff. So give me a follow and follow along this crazy journey.
All right, man. Well, thanks so much for making the time to come on the
Thank
show. I
you, man.
really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it. This was
Pleasure
great.
chatting with you.
Yeah, totally.
I'll hit you up if I come to Nashville.
Come on, brother. Anytime. Anytime.
All right, see you, Mark. Have
See
a
you,
good
man.
night.
You too.